This is the Seven Figure Standard Podcast, hosted by Arash Vossoughi and Mikey Stiller, with mindset and strategies to help you break through and create personal freedom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Seven Figure Standard Podcast. I'm Mikey Stiller, joined by my co-host, Arash Vossoughi. So thrilled to be back with you for another episode. And today it's going to be a real treat because we're talking about neutral thinking. This is something we talk a lot about with our elite clients and something that everybody has a little bit of a difficult time wrapping their mind around in the beginning, but it's such a powerful concept that we wanted to bring it to all of you, our podcast listeners. So, Arash, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Mikey. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm excited to get into this topic because I know how powerful it can be, but I also know how difficult it can be to understand at the beginning. What does neutral thinking mean, and how can you be passionate about your goal or passionate about your vision, but also neutral?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, neutral thinking is when you're in control of all your emotions. You're seeing it from the truth, not dictated because of an emotional state. And being neutral is not positive or negative. It's right in the middle. So if we did a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being at the greatest, 1 being at the weakest, when you're neutral, you're at a 5. So you're seeing it as it really is. And this, in my opinion, is where our greatest power is. When you can observe your emotions like you're talking to another person, like you're listening to it, and you're like, oh, this serves me. No, okay, this is what I get to adjust. I can tell you, I didn't master this for a long time. And we've talked about the story where I told Bob, he said, what are you studying? And I said, myself. As I started understanding why I was doing the things that I was doing or not doing the things that I should have been doing, that's when I started practicing observing myself from a neutral state. There's a gentleman who's passed on way too young. Everything he wrote in this book, and I've referred it to so many people. The author's name is Trevor Moawad, and the title of the book is It Takes What It Takes. And everything he wrote is what I was practicing, but he put it in actual format of, I said, oh my God, this is exactly it. And that was really took the practice to another level because he built a process around it. And as I've said, processes create mastery. But when we're neutral, you want to understand it's detaching from everything. It's not holding an attachment or an opinion about it. You're looking at it like somebody's talking to you. For example, like if I was talking to Mikey, all my attention will be put on her. So all my attention being neutral is you're super calm in the moment. Things can be going chaotic, but when you're neutral, you're calm and you're seeing the emotions as what they really are, or you're seeing a conversation with yourself. Are these thoughts just random thoughts, or are these repetitive thoughts that I keep sabotaging myself, or I keep expanding myself? Mm-hmm. So when we're neutral, we're in the most control, no matter what is happening on the outside. And this is where your biggest breakthroughs happen. My biggest breakthroughs never happened in a chaotic state. Never happened in a need. And we've talked about this. We're always coming from need or want. Want creates abundance. Need creates scarcity. And being neutral, even when you are in need. I know some of my biggest triumphs have been when I was in need, but I was neutral, that I observed it, that I shifted it. So you're going to go in and out. I mean, even the masters will go in and out of this in the beginning, but then it's going to be your baseline of everything you do is from a neutral place, everything. And when you get to that place, you will eliminate need from your life.
So Raj, is neutral thinking basically getting off of the roller coaster? So you're no longer allowing things, whether it's a conversation, something good happening, something bad happening, allowing those things to control your emotions, go up, down, or also if you're in a chaotic environment, you're not letting the chaos affect you and your state? Or is this beyond that, in like out of your emotions and into your actual thinking?
To me, it's almost like out of body. Like you don't you're watching you from a completely different place. You're not reacting. You're very responsive and observing yourself and saying, oh, this serves me. Oh, I get to work on this. A lot of people are trying to defend their position of why they do things. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time. What we want to do is observe if we keep doing something and what is in our best interest, what is going to grow us the most. It gives us so many signals where you could look at what you're doing and saying, I've got to adjust the plan. I am operating with the wrong plan, not the wrong idea, not the wrong goal, but the wrong plan. So if you're noticing that you're not getting the results you want, I promise you it's going to go down to your thinking, because what we think about, we become. And why would we hold thoughts of anger, thoughts of resentment? We want to be on the frequency of happiness, joy. That's when our results come to us at warp speed. We're on a much higher vibration and you're matching that frequency. But you could do that when you're in a shit state. And you could take yourself to that joy state by being neutral, that you're aware of it. See, your conscious mind can only hold one thought at a time. Your subconscious can hold millions, but your conscious mind can only hold one. So when we're neutral, we get to observe where we're going and what we need to adjust.
Okay, so I'm going to pair this with another concept that you talk about a lot and teach, which is being detached. So how does neutral thinking couple with being detached?
They work. That is what detachment is. When you're neutral, where you're not attached to anything, so you're seeing it as it is. Let's see, a lot of people, you said something earlier, a lot of people have a hard time understanding, I have a big vision, I have a big goal, so I've got to be attached to it, or else it means I don't want it. That has nothing to do with it. Mm-hmm. Being detached, it's already done. Stop focusing on minute to minute what the results are. That's attached. When we're detached, it's already done. It's already here. We think, feel, and act like the person we want to be. It brings it to you. It's called surrendering. When you've surrendered that it's already here, our job is to focus on being the best version of ourselves every day. I'm so adamant about this, because when you make the most important goal we can have for ourselves each day is to beat our personal best. If people actually did this for 60 days, they would be astonished at where they went. And that's why we've got to be locked in to what we're doing each hour of the day. Even when we take breaks, go take a break. I recommend lots of breaks during the day to my elite clients. And what we want to do is be detached all the time. When we're attached, we're pushing it away. When we're detached, we're coming from want. It's already here. We're coming from standard. We're operating from this knowingness. And you cannot be attached and neutral. It's impossible. It is impossible. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you're attached, you're not neutral. When you're detached, you're in the most neutral state, and you're going to get what you want or something better.
Okay, so how do you know if you're attached or detached?
You'll tell by your energy. It's a forceful energy. It's a heavy energy. When you're detached, it's light. You're focused in the moment. You're more locked into the present. That's what neutral is. Neutral is being present. Attached is being future. It's going to be 6 months from now. So people are so far out in the future. And to make your future extraordinary, it's all about how you attack your present. And I use that word attack, but you do it with a detached state. You focus on what you could do in that moment. You really focus on how I can get better. And you're observing. You're not going to know how you can get better if you're not neutral, because you're not asking yourself the right questions. See, if we just sit there and start asking questions, you're automatically, if you really want to hear the answer, you're going to come from a neutral state. Where could I have gotten better in this sales presentation? What could I have done better at this event that I put on? What could I do better in my marketing? And you look at it very neutral, not biased and saying, oh God, no, I know it. I know it. We want to be a beginner at everything, even with our thinking. See, our thoughts create our feelings, they create our actions, they create our reality. It starts with thoughts. And once we connect with letting go and knowing it, our job is to do our best from a detached state and let the world take care of the rest, because it's working by laws, and the laws always hold us accountable. It is always holding us accountable. So if you're getting bad results right now, just know you're in the harmony of bad results. And when you get neutral and say, let me give you an example. Like when I started this, I was up and down, up and down, up and down. And I was getting decent results, but I mean, much better than I had, but I was unhappy because I was attached. And then when I started practicing this, all of a sudden I started getting all my gaps in front of me and saying, work on this, get better at this, master this. And that's where it happened. So like, if you're listening to this, if I said to you, what are your 3 greatest gaps right now? Would you be able to say them right away? When you're neutral, you will. When you're neutral, you see it. But you have to put controlled attention on this. That means controlled attention is putting on our energy towards one end of observing ourselves. That would be controlled attention on practicing being aware of where our gaps are. And so when we do that, we're going to create mastery.
Arash, I feel like a lot of times the place where people get hung up on neutral thinking is because we talk about acting with urgency, making decisions with urgency. And they think, how do I be urgent and also neutral or detached? But one is your pace and one is your perspective, your state of being, right?
Yeah. See, a lot of people think urgency is this chaotic state. It's a very calm state. You do it with a calm, confident manner. You have a rocket on your back and you just take off. You go to this other gear. That's what urgency is. Urgency is an attitude. Understand that. But urgency isn't chaotic. It's not being attached to anything. When you're urgent, you're detached. You're like, this is what I'm doing. And you go and do it. You don't even think. You let your instinct take over, because I'm going to say it again and again. Your instinct is 10 times more powerful than your intellect. You're going inside when you use your instinct. And so it's very different. But why do people get attached? Think about this question. They get attached because they're thinking about why they're frustrated. But what is frustration? It's measuring yourself against the outcome, and that's a losing formula. So anytime I've ever been attached to something, I'm forcing it because I'm frustrated that I don't have what I say that I should have or what I want to have, right? Forget about that. Understand, when you're frustrated, that's telling you you're attached. So I want you to observe that. When you're frustrated, understand you can't operate with the right urgency. You're coming from lack. So the only thing that we have to measure is what we're doing in that present moment. We've got to get emotionally involved in asking ourselves the right questions. Where can I get better? What is that next idea that I could really add to my business that would create a massive quantum leap? And spend time every day writing out the question you want answered, and write out 5 solutions to it every day. When you're writing, you automatically go to a neutral state. That's the beautiful thing about writing. Or you could do it when you're asking yourself questions, but in a calm manner. Like right now, I could say, how can I beat my personal best today? What can I do today? And then I let, that's what neutral is, letting it come in. And it always comes in. But when we're attached, what can I do today? They think from their old thinking. I used to think from my old thinking. We don't want to think. When we're neutral, we're allowing something completely new to come in that allows us to catapult. And you're going to see when you practice this, you're going to realize the people you need to release, that you're holding on to, the habits you want to release, the parts of your mindset that you want to release. That's why neutral is so gorgeous.
Oh, this is so good. Okay. How do you know, and I know that this is all feeling, but like, let's say this is probably the first time a lot of people are hearing about neutral thinking, because I think you're probably the only person really talking about neutral thinking. How do you know when you are neutral thinking and when you're not?
When you're neutral, it's easy. You know, I honestly, I was thinking about it. I was actually thinking about it over the weekend. What did I do to get neutral? And I think I said it in the beginning, but really what I did, it was like I was having a conversation with me, but out of body. Like, so I could see my emotions. I could literally hear my emotions. I didn't just feel it. I could hear what they were. Or I could hear my self-talk. I could hear shame, or I could hear thoughts that are in accordance to how I want to live. Like I could see the difference. And then I would start catching and say, why was I thinking that? Oh, I was measuring against an outcome, or I was really locked in. I just knew I committed with my whole being. So you'll know, even in commitment, we've talked about commitment and how important it is when we're all in or all out. You'll know when you're neutral. You'll be like, oh, am I all in? Well, why didn't I do what I said I was going to do? Okay, that's not all in. And so let me course correct that. So we've got to really look at being neutral as our baseline so we get to the truth. We get to it. Well, let me give you an idea. Oh, I've got a wife, I've got 5 kids, so I just do enough to get by. Well, why? What if you could think bigger? What if you asked the question, how can I 10x what I'm doing right now? What ideas could I implement? Am I coming from playing my life scared? Or am I really putting myself on the line and being a risk taker? Listen, not everyone wants to be a risk taker. That's fine. But not everyone, in order to create world-class results, you have to take significant risks. That's what it is. But they're not that significant. The person who is not risking is risking more than the person who quote unquote risks a lot. You have to put yourself on the line. You've got to put yourself on the hook. You've got to burn your bridges and saying, I'm all in with this. And you'll know the difference. And here's the beautiful part. We just have to be all in. One time we make that connection, it feels so damn good. There is nothing better than that connected feeling with that. But that's what neutral is. It's a feeling of detachment, so you'll know what detachment feels like. If you're constantly changing your goals, you're not neutral. You're letting the outside influence it. You're attached. And we want to really practice the art of being detached and living from a neutral space. It's not what happened yesterday. It's what happens in this moment. If I could tell you anything that I did to get much better with this, is I got much more locked in that today is my masterpiece, that I get to be extraordinary today. I get to show the world what I'm capable of. And I started being more focused in the present moment. I learned that philosophy. I'm always stealing people's philosophies that I really admire. That was from John Wooden. He was a Hall of Fame basketball coach. He started every day, today is my masterpiece. And it was never, there's another book, highly recommend the book by John Wooden on leadership. I mean, absolutely extraordinary philosophy. But he never focused with his team on the winning or losing the game. It was always being in control with their emotions. It was always activating disciplined emotionalism. That's what neutral is, where you're disciplined with your emotions so you can observe them. Some people need to hear this over and over again, because I'm telling you, this will absolutely change your whole life. What if you could be in control of all your emotions? What if you got to a point of mastery? You can, but we've got to discipline ourselves to practice being neutral. And you practice it throughout the day.
So good. All right, Arash, let's get into an action step for today.
Well, I'd like everyone to start observing their emotions and ask yourself, am I attached or detached when you observe them? When you observe them, you're going to be detached. But then a couple hours later, you might not even know it. Then go back and say, I'm going to listen to this podcast lesson today, every day for the next week. Every day, keep listening to it over and over and over again. And you're going to pick up on new things. Like right now, when I'm talking, you're getting neutral. Like right away. Like if I've captured your attention, you're neutral. If I've got you staring out in space, you're neutral. And that's what I want you to do, because now you're going to observe you, and then you're going to observe, what are my emotions telling me? And I'm going to say it again, to be free, you must be able to control your emotions. You do it with practicing the art of neutrality.
Amazing. All right. I want to thank you, Arash, for an incredible lesson today. And thanks to all of you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating and review. Share this episode with your friends and family. It helps us on our mission to reach more people with this amazing content. And we'll see you next week for another episode on the 7 Figure Standard podcast.
Thank you for listening to this episode of 7 Figure Standard. We hope you found the insights and strategies helpful on your journey to success. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform to help us reach more people like you. To learn more about Arash and Mikey and how Voss Coach & Co. can help you achieve your goals and reach new levels of success, visit vosscoachandco.com. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of 7 Figure Standard.